So welcome once again, everyone, to another placement of the Greener Hub webinar series. My name is Evelyn Zuniga, and I'm one of the communications officers for the Greener Hub project. As many of you know, if you have joined the webinars before, the Greener Hub project officially started in September 2022 as a coordination and support action of the European Commission under the Horizon Europe program, which represents currently 15 ERANETs, co-funds, and self-sustained initiatives in the field of agri-food and biotechnology. We started these breakfast clubs, this series last year in October, and then our first topic was circularity in agriculture. Then we moved to a second topic, which was biotechnology to advance sustainable solutions for bioeconomy. So if you're interested in topics related to mixed farming systems, mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions, sustainable farming, production of bioplastics, production of green chemicals, among others. So all of our recordings are now available in YouTube. And now for these few months, we have been focusing on the topic of sustainable food systems. And here we're having talks related to saline agriculture, food resilience and climate change, food trade, alternative and novel food systems, among many others. I just want to give a few housekeeping announcements. So if you want to put your questions, you can use the Q&A section and the chat section, which I have activated for everyone. I'm going to do my best to address as many questions as possible with the time that we have, which is 1 hour right now. And if at the end of the session you have a question for either of the speakers, please address the speaker on your question. Today, we're having two panelists. We're very happy to have two panelists, Dr. Ronald Halim and Dr. Antonio Santoro. Thank you very much for joining us today. Dr. Antonio Santoro is senior researcher at the Department of Agricultural, Food, Environmental and Forestry Sciences and Technologies at the University of Florence in Italy. His research interests are focused on agricultural heritage systems and agrobiodiversity, cultural landscapes, land use management, forestry management and silviculture, as well as landscape digital mapping and monitoring, among many others. Dr. Santoro is currently the Deputy Director of UNESCO Chair on Agricultural Heritage and Landscapes. He works as an expert for the Horizon Europe project evaluation on behalf of the European Research Executive Agency from the European Commission. And the title today of his presentation is Socioeconomical Shocks Assessment and Resilient Empowerment in the Mediterranean Agri-Food Heritage Systems in Italy, Morocco, and Algeria of FAO GIS sites. This is part of the Med Agri-Food Resilience Project, which is also part of the SUSFood and FOSC ERANETs. Thank you so much, Dr. Santoro, for accepting to give this presentation in our Greener Hub webinar series. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so you can start your presentation. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Evelyn, and thank you for this initiative. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I hope that you can see the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you very much. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm really happy to participate. And I'm a researcher at the University of Florence, and I am the coordinator of this project. And today I'm going to focus on the importance of traditional agri-food systems in the Mediterranean area for the resilience and the possible valorization strategies for the products. So I'm the coordinator of this project. And on behalf of the DAGRI department of the University of Florence, and we have different project partners, the Polytechnic University in Mohammed VI from Morocco, the Biskra University in Algeria, the Center for the Scientific and Technical Research for Arid Regions in Algeria, and the University Ibn Zor of Agadir in Morocco. So the project aims at performing a complete assessment of the social and environmental shocks and vulnerabilities of 3 Mediterranean agri-food systems to identify the key resilience and adaptation factors from the technical, biodiversity, and socioeconomic perspectives. This will contribute to the local inclusive and sustainable development while preserving also the local cultural values and the ecological heritage through the identification of innovative solutions, best practices, and strategies, with particular attention to the replicability and transferability of these solutions among the 3 sites, but also in other Mediterranean agri-food systems. The Agri-food Resilience Project is officially supported by the FAO GX Program Secretariat, because the 3 sites in Italy, Morocco, and Algeria are part of the GS program. This is a program that has been established in 2002 by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the global important agricultural heritage systems program, whose aim is to identify and catalog traditional agroecosystems created through the centuries by the local farmers. These systems are today still able to provide different ecosystem services to the local communities. So are also examples of sustainable and resilient systems characterized by a high biodiversity, traditional knowledge, cultural values, and landscapes. So the objective of this program is not just the conservation, but the application and the valorization of the systems through the application of the dynamic conservation principles. So also with the inclusion of sustainable innovations. FAO has registered 86 sites in 26 countries, and so it's the largest UN program for agricultural heritage. The sites described in the GS program fall within the definitions of cultural landscapes or traditional landscapes. It's not exactly the same, but these are landscapes that were created by the work of man, of the humankind, through the application of traditional techniques. So why these systems are so important today? Because we are dealing with different socioeconomic and environmental transformations in the last decades, but these traditional systems are examples of sustainable practices that have sustained local communities, local rural communities for centuries. And they are still able to provide different ecosystem services of different categories to these local communities. So they are considered sustainable examples at the international level. They are the objective of this FAO program, but also the UNESCO as a specific category of the cultural landscapes within the World Heritage List. So our project, the Agri-food Resilience Project, focuses on 3 GS sites in the Mediterranean area. I'm going to present the main characteristics and vulnerabilities, but also opportunities related to these systems. They share common features, but are also affected by different social and environmental vulnerabilities. All of them are the results of the adaptation of man to different and also difficult environmental conditions. So the first one is the argan forest in Morocco. The argan tree is an endemic tree of middle and southwestern Morocco when it forms a natural forest. So argan is not cultivated, but local communities have the rights to collect and sell the argan nuts coming from the natural forest that is property of the state. The argan is commonly known for the value of the oil. Since the 1980s, the argan oil became very popular and appreciated by the cosmetic industry. Today, it's one of the most expensive oils on the international market. The argan forest was declared a biosphere reserve by the UNESCO in 1998, and part of it was recognized as a GS site in 2018. This is a simple scheme of the traditional argan oil extraction process. So the fresh fruits are collected from the tree or from the ground. They are dried, the external pulp is removed, and the nuts are cracked to extract the seed, the kernel, that is used to obtain the argan oil through a traditional extraction process. But we have to consider that the argan pulp, the argan nut shells, and the argan press cake are commonly considered agricultural waste because they are not used for any other activities in the area, but they can also be used as or valorized as byproducts through some in experimentations and innovative uses. So traditionally, only some of them are used to integrate the animal diet, or the argan nut shells are used to for the fire in homes for cooking and heating. But most of these byproducts are just agricultural waste. So I don't want to focus too much on this issue, but there are different examples of innovative uses of these byproducts. So the argan pulp can represent low-cost biomass for the production of bioethanol, or to extract an essential oil that is an effective insect repellent. The argan nut shells can be used for biofuel, for biochar, for powder, for water purification, and other innovative uses, while also the argan press cake, so the resulting of the extraction, the oil extraction process, can be used to obtain bioplastics for bioshoppers or food packaging, or other powder for the extraction of Sudan dyes and so on. So there are different options to develop circular bioeconomy for this agricultural waste. Most of these uses are related to the need of using high technology laboratories and advanced skills, and these are just at the experimentation stage. Also because the byproduct has to be transported from rural areas to the cities, to laboratories. But some other options are promising to develop a local circular bioeconomy based on the use of these agricultural waste, or for diversifying the production of the argan oil cooperatives with limited investments and limited training for the local women working in these cooperatives. So in the last decades, the argan oil success on the international market has led to significant improvements on the well-being of local communities, also thanks to national project, local project, also with the involvement of some foundations. For example, Slow Food Foundation was really active in promoting the argan oil on the international market, and also the culture related to the use of the argan oil, because at the local level it's used not just for cosmetic purposes, but also as an ingredient of the traditional cuisine. And the cooperative systems encourage the local women with an improved social recognition and economic independence, and also increasing the number of girls that have access to education, so with really positive social results at the local level. But this success on the international market and the value of the argan oil also caused an increasing impression of the natural argan forest. So there are some important vulnerabilities. In general, we can affirm that the area occupied by the argan forest decreased in the last decades due to social but also environmental reasons. For example, recurring drought periods have impacted the argan forest. Some part of the argan forest have been replaced by cultivation greenhouses, while in the mountains there is the overgrazing and the overexploitation of the fruits really limits the natural renovation. So there are no nuts left on the trees and on the ground. So all of the nuts are collected. So we don't have any more natural renovation. From the social economic point of view, the incomes for the farmers are still limited because most of the gain is for non-local intermediaries. So there is the need to shorten the value chain, connecting directly the farmers to the women cooperatives that process the organ nuts to the market. And in addition, women are engaged in local cooperatives, but they have limited possibilities of establishing their own cooperatives because they need more training in managerial skills. So this is the framework of the argan situation, but the argan oil success has led to important improvement at the social level. The circumstance to the site is located in central Italy. We have to consider that Italy is mainly made of hills and mountains, so agriculture had to adapt to slopes and to mountains, applying traditional techniques. Since ancient time, olive trees have been planted throughout Italy, and different archaeological sites in this area, in the central part of Italy, testify that the olive cultivation was already practiced since the Roman time. So olive oil is fundamental ingredients of the Mediterranean diet that is recognized by UNESCO and also known for the human benefits, for the health benefits. And olive oil is a crucial ingredient. Here, the olive oil is considered really high quality. It's still processed according to traditional techniques, and agricultural practices are mainly carried out manually, as they were centuries ago, because the olive trees are cultivated on dry stone terraces, on steep slopes, so there is no possibility of introducing mechanization. So the area is, these are some pictures of the area, is mainly devoted to olive cultivation, so on terraces, dry stone terraces or earth terraces. And it's a unique combination of castles, monasteries, little towns in these really beautiful landscapes that attract thousands of visitors every year. About 70% of the landscape preserves the historical land use, and it's possible also to identify a clear vertical organization of the landscape of the land uses according to different agricultural activities. The local stakeholders in this area have really promoted the local landscape, the local products, and the local culture. So they succeeded in joining the quality of the landscape with the quality of the products. And there are different initiatives as guided visits to the farms, to the olive oil mills, 75 long kilometers trail from the north to the south among the olive groves, a museum dedicated to the oil culture. And so there are different activities carried out by the local stakeholders together with the farmers. In addition, most of the farms are directly engaged in touristic activities, offering accommodation, olive oil tasting, or direct selling of olive oil to tourists. So all these activities have really contributed to strengthening the market value of the local olive oil on the market. And because visitors, tourists are willing to pay more from a product that comes from a territory that they experienced, they appreciated, that is considered of high quality, healthy, and that also represents the identity of this area and also the quality of life in this area. So this link between rural tourism, quality of the product, quality of the landscape was really successful for the local farmers in this situation. But there are also some vulnerabilities related to from the abandonment of the more marginal olive groves with consequent collapses of the dry stone walls and also hydrogeological problems, because the dry stone walls are not important just for cultivating the trees, but they offer ecosystem services, for example, mitigation of hydrogeological risk and soil erosion, so soil conservation and so on. And also some restoration activities carried out with concrete blocks have a negative impact on the aesthetic value of the landscape, but also on the functionality of the walls in relation to the hydrogeological risk. We interviewed people living in the area and also farmers. There are some vulnerabilities also related to climate change, especially new plant disease that until 10 years ago were not a problem in the area, but local farmers confirmed that the olive fruit fly, for example, started to create problems to olive fruits in the last 5 years. So they are trying to develop a new collaboration between the farmers, research centers, and local stakeholders to establish an early warning system to intervene, anticipating the problem. The third site is located in the Algerian desert. In general, traditional oases of North Africa are examples of adaptation to conditions of extreme aridity, and where the humankind was capable of managing the scarce water sources in a sustainable way to obtain a wide range of products and services. Traditional oases are organized on three-layer systems. So we have the upper layer made of palm trees for the production of dates, the intermediate layer made of olive trees and other fruit trees, and the lower one that is used to cultivate vegetables and fodder. These systems are crucial for the livelihood and the food security of the local communities because they provide a wide range of products and materials. The dates represent the cash crop that is sold in the market, while the other cultivations are used for self-consumption. And also the livestock is well integrated within this system because livestock provide workforce, proteins for human consumption, but also manure for the crops. And so this traditional oasis provides a wide range of ecosystem services to the local population. These are the studies. This is the study site in Algeria. The hot oases are a unique system dug in the sand of the desert to allow the palm roots to reach the water table. So palms are cultivated without irrigation, thanks to this system that dates back to the 15th century. But unfortunately, due to population growth and to the introduction of pumps to irrigate modern potato cultivation in the 80s and in the 90s, the landscape is changing with big, significant environmental and social problems because the use of these pumps for irrigating these circular potato plantations has lowered the water table. So the palm roots can no longer reach the water, and these oases are dying, and they are abandoned by the local farmers, and also the traditional cultural heritage, the traditional buildings are being abandoned by the local population. In addition, the local farmers have difficulties in selling the dates on the international markets because of various reasons, because problems of conservation of the dates, of agreements with at the national level from agreements between Algeria and the European Union, for example. So they are working on new regulations, and they are working together to try to increase the market value of the local dates. So common initiatives and the support of organizations like Slow Food International could be a good solution to start this valorization process. Slow Food has recently signed an agreement with the GIAC Secretariat at the Food and Agriculture Organization to promote typical foods from the GIAC sites. These areas still not included in this agreement. They started working in Tunisia, they've worked really well with the argan oil system. So to conclude my presentation, what I want to highlight is the fact that these traditional agri-food systems that are located in different environmental and socioeconomic conditions share some common features and also common vulnerabilities. Traditional agricultural abandonment, agricultural intensification, unsustainable innovations, and also climate change. But these systems are still fundamental for the well-being of the local communities and for providing not just food products, but also different ecosystem services. I haven't focused on this topic for reasons of time, but an analysis of the ecosystem services would be really interesting regarding and also the value of these systems for the social and for the whole community. So traditional ecological knowledge and practices should be preserved and integrated with innovations, but with sustainable innovations and science-based solutions to valorize the resilience of these agri-food systems also in the framework of climate change. And in general, this link between the quality of the product, the quality of the landscape, the rural landscape can effectively contribute to the valorization and to the conservation of these systems, so to the valorization of the final product on the market, because the traditional landscape can act as an added value to the product. Sustainable innovations, the rural tourism, and the promotion of high-quality products can effectively contribute to the valorization of the everyday work of the farmers, because the farmers are the ones that really preserve the landscape, preserve the ecosystem services, maintain the landscape and also the territory. For example, in case of the dry stone terraces, without their work, the terraces tend to collapse. And so we have hydrogeological problems and negative consequences for the whole community. So the conservation of this type of traditional agriculture is important, not just for the landscape preservation, but also for the ecosystem services, because the benefits are enjoyed by the whole communities. So thank you very much, Evelyn, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santoro. I want to remind people that they can have put your questions in the Q&A section and in the chat section. In the meantime, when they kind of are typing there, I have one question. So do you think that we can use these traditional agri-food and agroforestry systems like that they have been developed by through centuries to be widespread to larger communities? And also I guess other part of the question is what can we learn from the way they operate, because they're very sustainable and they can make it work? So yeah, those are my questions.
Well, for example, we have to consider that intensive agriculture was applied in different areas of Europe and, for example, also in Italy, but it was effective and sustainable just in small areas, because the final product is too expensive compared to, for example, to the cereals that we can buy from Canada or from Ukraine or from Russia. And so that kind of agriculture, of intensive agriculture, was effective only in some small parts, for example, in Italy. We are dealing with important socioeconomic changes and environmental changes, climate change, and these systems are the result of the adaptation to different and difficult environmental conditions that have sustained the local communities for centuries in a sustainable way. And usually the products that are produced in these systems are of very high quality, are healthy product, and have an added value because they are connected to the local identity, to the agrobiodiversity, for example, and so on. Also, I didn't talk about agrobiodiversity for reasons of time, but our biodiversity is not related to natural spaces, but to small, different habitats and microhabitats created by the work of the farmers. For example, hedgerows or dry stone terraces represent microhabitats for flora and fauna species. And so also the preservation of this complex landscape mosaic made of different features can really help in preserving also the biodiversity, the ecosystem services. So it is all connected, and we should learn that these systems provide ecosystem services and benefits, not just for the farmers, but for the whole community. And so also at the institutional level, this approach is changing because in Italy, the Italian ministry is promoting these systems as a sustainable way to manage the territory. We have a lot of hills and mountains and serious hydrogeological problems with landslides and so on. Most of them because a large part of the rural territory is not managed anymore, is abandoned. And giving some subsidies to the farmers that still apply these traditional methods is also a way to prevent other problems related to the loss of agrobiodiversity, to landslides and hydrogeological problems.
Okay. Thanks so much for answering my question. So I think in the interest of time, I have to close the webinar. It's 10:03. And so I just want to appreciate my panelists. Thank you so much, guys, for accepting my invitation and for these like amazing presentations, like very different, just like this type of presentations that kind of it just kind of expands your brain towards like different ways of thinking. So thank you so much for inviting for accepting my invitation, and thank you everyone for your contributions and your questions. And I'll see you in a next webinar. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Evelyn. Bye,
Everyone.
everyone. Bye, Ronald.
Bye.